What's up, you guys? Happy New Year's to you. Hopefully all is going well with you, your families, those whom you love and care about. So I hadn't made a video in a while, and there's actually a good reason for that. Had a lot going on prior to the new year, after the day that some celebrate called Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving night, had a oak tree fall on the house, and had to get put up in a hotel. So I've actually been here at a hotel since right after Thanksgiving, and I'm still here nearing the end of January while repairs were being made to the house and things like that. So I got all of my books and stuff in storage now. No good scholar puts all of his books in storage, so I do have a few. I have about 10 books that I kept with me. You always got to have something to read, but that also slows down the frequency at which I can research various topics and things, because I don't have all of my resources and source material accessible right now. So some of the reasons why I hadn't been posting here lately, because contrary to popular belief, I don't agree with just jumping on without doing any research, and I don't rely solely on the internet for my research. I'm not a YouTube scholar at all, and I'm not a meme scholar who just steals information that has not been vetted or researched or fact-checked off memes on Instagram and Facebook. That's not my MO. So I'm old school. I like to actually have a book in my hand. I like libraries. I know those things are archaic now. Some of these kids never been in a library, and it's a shame. Nothing like getting that book in your hand, smelling that paper. Something about the smell of a good book that's just sexy. Another thing too, sometimes, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys who are in the conscious community, you guys who are on that path of enlightenment, you guys who are seeking truth, you ladies who are getting knowledge yourself, all of you going through these different journeys to lead you to your destiny, you'll experience this. It's inevitable. You have to be able to deal with the frustration of being on a whole nother level than the majority of people that you engage with. And that's not a statement that's condescending in any way, but it's real. It's something that you'll experience. Like when you're researching different topics and your mind is on some other things, and the people who you're talking to cannot engage with you on that level of conversation, that they're not there yet. Not to knock them, because there was a time when we wasn't there either. So it's just everybody's moving according to their own pace, and everybody has a different learning curve, and the time to grow and awaken and things like that is different for each of us. But for those of us who are on that path and who's been on that path for any length of time, it can be outright frustrating when you engage in conversations with people and they have nothing to give back. Like talking to a brick wall. And I'm pretty sure you guys can relate. If you've encountered this, let me know in the comment section below. It's like, I'm talking about artificial intelligence, and I'm talking about the Schumann resonance and Gaia, and how the earth is a living vessel, and different frequencies and vibrations, and the significance of things that's going on. And I'm talking about ascending. Maybe I'm talking to somebody about chakras or kundalini, Ida and Pingala. I'm talking about the cosmic gospels. I'm talking about the Aquarian gospels. I'm just the stuff that I'm into, the stuff that I research. and they kind of looking at you like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Can't we just have a normal conversation? And I'm sitting there thinking like, God damn, it's like the living talking to the dead. Like nothing I'm saying is registering, and we're just on two different pages, and that in itself is frustrating and it's draining. So it's difficult to stay motivated, to stay engaged with people. And what you often find is people, when they awaken, they become introverts, because it seems as if you lose your place in society, because the things that you're interested in is so opposed to what the status quo is interested in. I have guys talk to me all the time about different rappers and different celebrities, and I don't have a clue who in the hell are they talking about, because that stuff has no place in my life at all anymore. Back in the day, I would have been right on pace with you, staying up with the times and what's going on social media and what's going on in society and stuff like that. But now, it's like that doesn't even pique my interest. It's like I'm a sapiosexual, one of those people who's just hunting for the next intellectual conversation that I can have with somebody. You compare it to like a vampire who's got to feed. You gotta suck that blood, gotta get refreshed. It's like it's satisfying in a way to have those conversations. And when you run across person after person after person who lacks the capacity to engage you on that level, it's disappointing. And so a lot of times people just kind of shut the world out, and they go into this spiral that can be detrimental, because as people, we need people, to become a hobbit, a hermit, to close yourself up and shut the world out can have a detrimental effect on you. If you're adept, it can also have a beneficial effect. If you know what you're doing. Silence can be a very powerful tool. You read about some of those adepts in the East, and how they would use silence. And it's a saying in the East that says, I teach those who are adept through my silence. And those who are asleep, I teach through my words. So I teach those who are adept through my silence, and those who are asleep through my words. In other words, the verbal communication, the words that I'm speaking, when I actually have to open my mouth and explain and tell you something, that teaching, that verbal teaching, that audible teaching is secondary. It can still be beneficial. It can still be conducive for growth and learning, but it's a secondary form of teaching. Those who are adept can learn from me without me ever saying a word, because they can pick up on my energy. My energy resonates with them. Our spirits can connect, and it's almost like this telepathic communication, to where if you take the word namaste, I think this is my understanding of the word namaste, that my soul, my spirit, my essence, my being communicates to your soul, to your essence, to your being. And because we're on that same frequency, few words have to actually be spoken. If I have to speak and explain everything, then it's secondary. And once you get to that point, silence can be very instrumental in your growth and your development. So it's something to be said about silence. That's why some monks and in some traditions, they take a vow of silence. And some people actually go on these intermittent fasts where they don't speak for maybe 30 days or something like that, because silence does wonders for the body. It also frees up the senses to focus on other things, to focus on deeper things, the deeper meaning behind things, to invest one's energy into different aspects of the world. So silence can be good, but for those of us who are finding this frustrating, having conversations with people, and it's like, damn, I really can't have a conversation with 99% of the people who I know, because I'm gonna say something and it's gonna make me seem like a freaking alien from another planet. I get to talking about Nibiru and Planet X and Marduk and Tiamat and shit like that, the Anunnaki and Inky and Enlil, and they looking like, what in the fuck are you talking about? And I'm looking at them like, damn, how in the fuck do you not know what I'm talking about? And, like, do you live under a rock and it's no connect there? So that's part of it too. Like, you can get on here and I can talk to you about some stupid shit like Prince Harry or whatever, Prince Charles, whoever the fuck he is, who's married to the lady, and Meghan, who the fuck ever. And they're no longer part of the fucking royal family. What fucking royal family? Fuck the royal family. Like, I don't give a damn about a royal family, and why in the fuck would I care if they're a part of it? How does that affect me? How does that affect my growth? But you can get on here and make a video about that, and that shit will go viral before you wake up in the morning. You got 3 million fucking views and 700,000 shares and shit. And I'm like, oh my God. Get on here and talk about some real shit. Get on here and talk about energy, and get on here and talk about, spirituality and shit like that. Yeah, you'll end up with 90 followers. So, I think that's kind of an enigma. It's ironic the way this shit works. Talk about anything with substance and fuck that. Get on here and talk about superficial shit, or get on here and shake your ass and put on a thong and call yourself a thought or a city girl, and shit. You got hundreds of thousands of followers within the hour. It just goes to show what you're up against when you endeavor to awaken. So let's deal with that too, because those of you who are Christians and those of you who have come from that background, you know what Scripture says, right? Scripture says that there's a path that leads to righteousness, and it's narrow, and few travel thereon. But there's a path that leads to destruction. It's broad, and that motherfucker is jam-packed with people. People travel that road all the time. And that's exactly what you see when you get on that path going to enlightenment, awakening and shit. It's just not a lot of people there. So, I don't know, you can look at it kind of like, I think it was Robert Frost who was talking the little poem with the fucking two roads. It's going to be that path that it's not a lot of people on, that path that a lot of people just walk by. Then it's going to be that path where you got everybody breaking their fucking neck to get on, that's coming. And this isn't it. So if you think that you want to awaken, if you think you're remotely interested in the shit that I've been talking about, then surprise, surprise, you're in for a rude awakening, because you're going to find yourself an outcast. You're going to find yourself with fewer and fewer friends. You're going to find it very difficult to engage in everyday conversation, because your views are going to drastically change, your opinions, your knowledge level. is going to drastically change, because the amount of research and studying and investigation that you're going to do is going to increase. And so you're going to be more conscious of a lot of varied subjects. And so the breadth, the depth of your conversation is going to match the level of your research and knowledge and your actual application of the lessons learned during that research. So it's an uphill battle. I can tell you that much. Definitely an uphill battle. I don't get discouraged by it at all anymore. Initially, it was very frustrating for me. Very frustrating to sit and talk to somebody, and I get frustrated and find myself getting into actual arguments, debating issues and shit with people, and trying to make them see stuff the way that I see it. And how do you not see this way? And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself with the same dogmatic rhetoric that people in religion are proponents of, that they're notorious for. You'll find yourself almost proselytizing, trying to get converts. And it shouldn't be that way. You know, you should. It's funny. I'm here at the hotel, as I said, and maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a guy here. And like I say, I've been here since right after Thanksgiving, and I'm sitting out here now around the fire pit, and it's a bunch of chairs and shit out here. Take a look. Fire pit, chairs and shit. I sit out here all the time and smoke a cigar. And it's a lot of people have been in and out of here over the last 2 months since I've been here. And I've never opened up with any of them about my religious beliefs and stuff like that. We've had conversations that's been kind of surface level shit, work, all of this kind of shit, family life, that kind of conversation. But then there was this one guy who came, and he actually sat in the seat where I'm sitting right now. And it was like, in here, I felt something different when I first laid eyes on this guy. And for some reason, I brought up spirituality and religion. And little did I know, this guy and his religious views and everything lined up with mine almost perfectly. And we struck up a conversation, and we talked for a little over an hour about religion and the things that we believe about nature and the earth and energies and shit like this. Now, I'd never seen this guy before a day in my life. I think he said he was from Arizona or somewhere. And it was amazing how I felt something different when I saw him. The energy, the resonance, the vibration. And I had a release inside to open up with this guy, where I had not had that release with any of these other people whom I've come across since I've been here in the last 2 months. And the one guy that I start this conversation with happens to be on the same path. No way for me to know that by looking at this guy. That's what I'm talking about, where it's like your spirit connects with the spirit of the individual without words ever being spoken. And I think that's a good example of what I'm talking about. I've sat out here with probably 100 people over the last 2 months, probably 100 people easy. And one guy out of 100, I actually felt a release, a connection with, and I engaged this guy in a conversation that I would not have engaged any other people whom I've met with that same conversation. That's kind of a snapshot of how disproportionate the landscape is for those of us who are awake. If you look at the nation of gods and earth, they talk about the 5%ers, you know, the 5% of people who know what's going on and actually has this insight of what's going on behind the scenes and what's going on in the world and in society and on spiritual levels and things like that. The 10% who's actually running shit and making all of this shit happen, and then the 85% who is just the masses going along, sheep being herded by the shepherd, the majority of society, the consumers, the ones who's just going through the normal humdrum of everyday life, not really thinking about any deeper things, who really are asleep. So it's very disproportionate. So I hadn't made a lot of videos here lately, again, because of the things that I've talked about. But I will be cranking it up. I'll be out of the hotel here at the end of this month, and I'll have a lot of videos coming up, because I wanted to dive in this year on some stuff, or into some subjects that I didn't really touch last year. I've only been on YouTube a few months, like 3 or 4 months. So I hadn't been in it very long. And so when I got in, it was kind of just dipping the toes in the water, testing the waters out, kind of talking about some broad subjects and not really drilling into any specific subject matter in any depth that can be appreciated by those who are enlightened, on the path to enlightenment. But that's changing, because now it's a new year, and I'm gonna spend this year really dealing with some subject matter. So I want to kind of give you guys this opportunity to let me know. I've done this several times. I've gotten a few responses, but let me know in the comment section subjects that you would like me to deal with. Those of you who are Christians and you've heard some of the videos I've made and you disagree with some of the stuff I said pertaining to your religious belief in the Bible, you think I'm in error somewhere, let me know that in the comment section. I have no problem with that, by the way. Opposition and conflicting viewpoints is what make for rich conversation. So as long as you're mature about it, and you can be an adult when you have a disagreement with somebody, and you don't kind of revert to ad hominem attacks to where you want to call me stupid and an idiot and all of this stuff. By the way, I think we all can be stupid when it comes to certain things. But let me know that stuff in the comment section. I also want to challenge you guys to do a little bit of research. Look into MK Ultra. Look into Tavistock. Look into Pascal Beverly Randolph. Look into H.P. Blavatsky. UG Krishnamurti. I had somebody in my comment section ask me to really push Krishnamurti out to the masses and kind of highlight Krishnamurti. I love Krishnamurti. I love a lot of his teachings. Don't agree with everything that he says, but I hadn't met anybody with whom I agree 100%. But my teacher, Dr. Phil Valentine, I was a student under Dr. Valentine years ago at his University of Communication Sciences, and UKS. Studied metaphysics under him, and learned quite a bit. But he was a student of Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti was one of his teachers. I can't speak to whether it was he was a direct student or pupil under Krishnamurti, or he learned from him indirectly just by studying a lot of his materials. But he's a big proponent of Krishnamurti, and Krishnamurti puts out some really good information. Look up Aleister Crowley as well. The Theosophical movement and the occult movement is things that I will address. I don't adhere to either one of them. You can look up the Rosicrucians, the Masonic Order. People like to harp on that. And for whatever the fuck reason why, look up the Illuminati. These are some things, you know, that you can look into to kind of get your feet wet, to kind of start opening you up to some different ideas and viewpoints and shit that people have about what's going on in society today. These are some names that once you're on this path to enlightenment, you definitely gonna come across. I also say Nobledrolly is worth looking into. The Moor Science Temple of America, the Hebrew Israelites, Clarence the 13th X, the Nation of Gods and Earth, or better known as the 5%ers. Look up all of this stuff and start, you know, being somewhat knowledgeable and able to talk about these different organizations and people who are somewhat icons in the conscious movement. And I look forward to having some very good conversations with you guys. No doubt that'll be kind of contrary to what you may believe and maybe a bit controversial, but I look forward to having those conversations with you guys. I will be back on a regular basis. I'll be trying to post at least 2 times a week, so you can look forward to that. I hadn't forgot about Remedy H over there and his miscalculations about the dates and shit that he's given, and some of the false information that he and others are putting out to the masses. So I'll be addressing that too. It is not my main focus because I don't waste a lot of time on nonsense, but when you have a lot of people flocking to someone and you don't believe that the information being dispensed to those individuals are accurate and can indeed be detrimental, I think you have some kind of an obligation to at least tell them accurate information to right where you think the other person was wrong. So I'll be addressing all of this stuff. You can look for a lot coming from me throughout this year, 2020. We'll talk about the significance of 2020 as well. So just wanted to get on here and kind of give you guys an update on where I've been. I'm not gone. You know they can never silence me. I will not be censored. I'm with you guys, and I appreciate you guys being with me. I appreciate every video that you thumbs up and the comments that you guys drop below. Feel free to comment. This is not an echo chamber. You know, don't think that over here on my channel, because you say something that I don't agree with, that I'm gonna sick all of my followers, all 90 of them, by the way, on you, and we're just gonna attack you and your ideas. I'll try to engage with you on a respectful level and see if we can have a meaningful dialogue back and forth. I also have a couple of people that I'm looking at having on the show or on my channel, and us doing some things, collaborating on some things together. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So hey, you guys continue to do what you do, continue to learn, continue to research. Until next time, keep learning, my friend.